If you can't get a recruiter or a peer in the company or the desired role that you're looking for, if you can't get them to even respond to you and start a conversation, there is no way your resume is getting noticed. Today, we are talking about my 4-part DM strategy and framework that I use to secure interviews that I teach my clients to use. It's a winner. I'm Gerrie. We do Lunchtime Live every Thursday. I help aspiring and current STEM professionals find new roles, find career fulfillment, and secure their highest income ever, all through establishing their professional brands and uncovering their unique value. If you've been to one of my lives before, you know that I don't believe in applying for jobs online. It's not effective. It's really the long way around. Your resume may never get seen, and on the slim chance that it does get seen, it could take months for you to hear back about that job. Usually you have completely forgotten about it by the time they call you about this job that you applied on. And the fourth and final reason that I don't like applying for jobs online is because it's way too much competition. There are hundreds of applications in, and we don't have time for that. We want to get to the front of the line. We want to get straight to the chase. So I believe thoroughly, if you're a job seeker, if you're trying to transition your role, that you have to have an outreach strategy during your job search. It is absolutely necessary. And so for me, my outreach strategy that I like to employ is a DM strategy, sending messages directly to people on LinkedIn to get their attention, get through the line, and make sure my resume is seen. I was able to use this outbound strategy to secure my last 4 jobs. My clients have been able to use this strategy to go from 0 response, being ghosted, applying into the abyss, to now they're going straight into interviews within days, right? They find the job, they find the correct person to network with, and they're on into the interview process. No more waiting weeks and weeks and weeks, not hearing a thing. So as I go through my 4-part strategy, per usual, drop your questions, drop your comments. I'll be going back and forth between my content and checking for questions. And at the end, I'll definitely get to everybody's question. And so the other thing that's going on is I'm running a networking challenge for people who want to transition into tech. And so if you are a challenge participant and you're in this live today, go ahead and drop pound transition challenge in the chat. Just because a part of the challenge is every day I'm sending them emails with networking tips, and they have an action that they need to complete every single day, because we're about action over here. You can come to my lives, you can read all of my posts, and you can soak in all the information. But unless you're actually acting on it, you're really slowing things down. So we're all about action. So if you're in the chat, go ahead and let me know that you're from the challenge, and their goal is to use networking to secure their next role. And so the number one thing, but the first part of the 4-part strategy that you have to have in place to use LinkedIn DMs to secure your next interview and soon to be your next role, you have to know who you're networking with. I see a lot of people, they're gaining their network. They are getting more connections on LinkedIn. But my question to you is it targeted? Are these strategic connections? If you're a job seeker and you're trying to make a career transition, there are 2 types of people that you absolutely need to be connecting with. You need to be connecting with recruiters first, because they are the gatekeepers. They're on LinkedIn. They're looking for you. They're on LinkedIn looking for you. You definitely need to be proactively reaching out to them. And the second type of connection you need to be getting is peers. And what a peer is someone who is working in the field that you're interested in. They are working at the company that you're interested in. They are someone that you can either learn from, or they can introduce you to someone who can help you further in your job search. And so those are the two types of connections that you absolutely need to target when you're in a job search, especially when you're trying to make a career transition. And this is especially important when you're trying to make a career transition, because on the surface, you don't have the experience. Your resume may not look like the perfect candidate on the surface, which is why applying and dropping your resume on the online portal, it's doing nothing for you, right? Because they're just not interested in what your resume says. But when you engage in a conversation with someone, it humanizes you, right? It's really easy to look at a resume and just say no and just cast it aside. But when a person reaches out to you and you're like, oh, yeah, this is a real person, they have questions, that I have the answers to, sure, I'll engage in this conversation. And that's the goal. The goal is to get people engaged in conversations, to learn more about you, to see you as a person, and to see your potential, which they may never see from your resume. So the first part of the 4-part strategy is to be strategic about who you're connecting with. The second part of the 4-part strategy is find something that you have in common with these connections. And so that means going through their LinkedIn profile. Do they have a school that is familiar to you, a city, a role? Do you share any connections? You have to find a way to connect. And sometimes the connection is that you work at a company and I'm interested in working there. I spoke about this last week when I was talking about being very strategic, and when you reach out to people, what is it that you're trying to say? If you just reach out to somebody and you say, hey, hello, can you tell me a little bit about your job? It's like, that's not enough. It's like, hey, I'm interested in this because. And just quickly, one of the transition challenge participants this week, she emailed me. She had a really good idea. And I have actually never done this. But she was like, I found a company that I'm interested in. I was on their website. I saw some of the employees in like a video, an employee video on the career site. And they had their names. I went to LinkedIn, found the person, and she was like, do you think I should connect with them? Absolutely. If you find this person on LinkedIn and you say, hey, I was over on Microsoft's website and I saw you on the career site, I'd love to hear more about your experience. First of all, they are flattered, right? That you put forth the effort to actually come find them. And secondly, that you actually care about their perspective. Because a part of the strategy that we talked about also is, and I posted about this last week, about give, build, then ask. When you approach a situation like that, you haven't asked the person for anything. They don't feel attacked. They don't feel like this person is trying to take advantage of me. They're like, this person actually cares about about me. I'd love to talk about me, of course. So I thought that was really good. And so that's an example of building a connection out of nowhere, right? She doesn't know this person. This person doesn't know her. But now they have a connection in that she was perusing the website, saw them, and they probably have something in common because they are both interested in this company or have been at some point. So the third part of the DM framework is know what your ask is before you even reach out to the person. I'm not saying that you should make your ask immediately. Sometimes it lends to that and sometimes it doesn't. And I can get more granular on that. But know what it is the person can help you do. When you send a person a DM and you say, you don't let on at all to how it is that they can help you, they probably won't respond. Because people want to help. They want to help and they want to make sure that what you need and what you're asking about is something they can actually fulfill. The worst thing, for me as a coach, I don't want someone to enter in my coaching program or, get on a phone call with me only to realize they have a problem that I can't solve, right? They may have a problem. It could be something going on at home. It could be interpersonal. It could be, something that is outside the bounds of what I can help you do. There are a lot of things, we all know there are a lot of things that can affect our career. And if there's something that's preventing you from excelling in your career, and it's something that the strategies that I know how to employ won't help, I need to know that up front. I don't want to waste any of our time, right? So if you're reaching out to a peer and, your request can't be, can you get me an interview? They may not be able to do that, but they may be able to give you some information. They may be able to tell you how they got an interview. They may be able to tell you, well, I know a couple of recruiters you can reach out to. So having your mind a couple of different things that you would actually like this person to help you do, because that actually speeds up the ability to form and build the relationship. I think we've been taught historically that I shouldn't be forthcoming with what I need and what I want. But when you try to form a relationship with somebody and it's not clear what we have in common, why we should work together, why we should be building this relationship, it may just stall away, right? You say, hey, you add this connection on your LinkedIn and you never hear from them again. But when you're upfront and you make it clear to people why they should connect with you, what you have in common, and you kind of have in your mind what it is they can help you do, it helps steer the conversation. So the fourth part of the DM strategy to securing interviews right away is know what's in it for them. Why should they respond and why should they help you? If you send a message to someone and it is not overtly clear why they should respond, they're probably not going to respond. And a reason to respond is not simply because I received your message or that I read your message. There has to be something in the context of your profile, your headline of your LinkedIn profile, the message. There has to be something that piques the person's interest to continue. And I know I've said this, I even said this yesterday. I've created a post about my favorite mistakes, networking mistakes that people make on LinkedIn. And sending the hello message is a huge mistake, right? Because the person doesn't have any context. So if you just say hello and the headline in your profile isn't something that sounds interesting to them, it's like, who is this person? Is this even a real account? So make it known, or at least be mindful of what's in it for them. What does this person have to gain from continuing a conversation with me, from becoming my connection? And an example of, some things that a person has to gain is, if they're an internal to the company you're interested in, maybe they can get a referral fee. Maybe they have incentive to bring in talent into the company. Maybe they have a personal desire to, help people. If you're a project manager, maybe you have a desire to help people get into the field. So everybody who's helping you and they're responding to your messages, it is only because they feel that there's something in it for them as well. It might not be tangible, it might not be monetary, but it's like, oh, she went to a school that I used to go to, I might want to talk to her. Or, it's all it all plays back to who the 4-part strategy. Be strategic about who you're connecting with. Be strategic about why am I connecting with this person, and do we have a connection that I can speak to get their attention? Having your ask readily available in your mind. I'm connecting with this person because. And then 4, what's in it for them and why should they respond or help me? One of the mistakes that I see job seekers make when they want to make a career transition. The number one mistake I see is that they decide that they want to make the transition, and then they immediately set the goal of getting hired, getting the job, making more money, whatever the very last step in the process is, the goal immediately jumps there. And so the example that I like to highlight here is kind of like the NBA Finals, right? I know they just occurred, so it's fresh on my mind. It's kind of like the NBA Finals. Consider yourself, you're a new player on the team. You're a new player on the team. You cannot be worried about making it to the finals, right? Your first day hitting the courts, you're not worried about making it to the finals, because you have some things you need to do ahead of that, right? You need to get in the game. You need to score a couple of points before you're even concerned with what's happening months and months down the road. And I think getting into a new career, whether you're trying to transition into tech, whether you're trying to transition around or within your current STEM career, you need to get in the game. And getting in the game looks like getting a recruiter to respond to your DM, getting a peer to respond to your DM, to add you as a connection, to start a conversation with you. That's getting in the game. That is securing points. You're making points, you're getting those small wins. And the reason why this is very important, if you can't get a recruiter or a peer in the company or the desired role that you're looking for, if you can't get them to even respond to you and start a conversation, there is no way your resume is getting noticed. Very slim chance. So that kind of gives you, when people are saying they're applying for jobs, they're not hearing back, they're not hearing anything. It's like, well, you need to go back a few steps. You need to try to connect with some strategic people on LinkedIn, the recruiters, the peers. Can you get their attention? Are they buying what you're putting down? If you can get them interested, then you have a chance that you can make your resume sound interesting enough to get picked up. And then that you can probably get in an interview. And that you have some things to say that is interesting enough during the interview to actually be considered for the role. And so just to bring this whole thing full circle with the NBA, is the finals. It's like dropping, editing your resume and dropping it online blindly. You're essentially riding the bench. You're not in the game. You're riding the bench and hoping to get picked up. So we're going to take a step back and we're going to focus on getting in the game and scoring some points. And that's exactly why I am having this transition challenge, the networking challenge, because I see a lot of job seekers, they are skipping all of the steps. Hi, Gerrie. Sometimes when I try to message recruiters and peers, I notice they use premium, but I don't use it because it may be too costly for students. What would you suggest? LinkedIn offers 30-day free for premium. So I guess my real answer is I am 100% a fan of LinkedIn Premium. Every time you're looking for a job, you have to have LinkedIn Premium, because you need to be able to talk to anybody that you want to. You also want to see, there's some salary data. There's some other little secret things you can see if you have LinkedIn Premium. And I believe it's only $19 a month. So I wouldn't say carry it all year long if you can't afford it. But when you're looking for a job, you need to get the 30-day free trial for LinkedIn Premium. And then you should keep it for as long as you can. And at $19, there are a lot of ways to find $19 a month. So that's my suggestion on needing LinkedIn Premium. Charlene says, I applied for a position. I spoke with the recruiter later, who forwarded my info to the hiring manager. The recruiter told me to call her back in 2 weeks if I didn't hear from the hiring manager, and the recruiter has since ghosted me. Now, this brings up a very popular point. And the point is that every person that you reach out to, they will not respond. People have things going on. I mean, they have lives, they have, family situations. You never know why a person has not responded to you. It is not always about you. I don't want you to not reach out to people out of fear that people won't respond. Because if you reach out to 5 people and you get 2 responses, that's 2 responses you would not have had. So keep going. Never stop with one message. And that's what we're talking about in the challenge. They're reaching out to multiple people over the course of 10 days. Now, I don't believe that the job search is a numbers game, right? I don't believe that the more jobs you apply for, the greater your chances. But in the networking game, it is absolutely a numbers game. The more people you reach out to, the more people that will respond, the more advanced your job search will go. So if you didn't hear back from the hiring manager, and now the recruiter has since ghosted you, I think it's pretty safe to assume either they already filled the role or they didn't see a fit. And I think, and this also might be a case of, bad recruiter, because usually the recruiters aren't telling you to call them back, right? Their job is to reach out to you and keep the job search going and moving along. So maybe this was a person who really didn't have very good communication skills. And maybe they were trying to avoid the confrontation of actually telling you that maybe this wasn't the role for you and that maybe they had found somebody else. But keep going. Do not let that stop you. Do not let one person who doesn't reply to your message on LinkedIn, do not let them derail your entire strategy. Don't let them derail your job search. There are millions of jobs available right now, and I might be over exaggerating, but we all know there are more jobs than there are people to fill them. Keep going. For every recruiter that doesn't respond, there are 3 that will. And I think that kind of makes me think of another point, Charlene, that check out a person's profile to see how active they are on LinkedIn as well. Because if they're not very active, maybe they don't check it as often. Maybe they're not interested in connecting with people and doing that sort of thing. So I also think that plays a role, is knowing how active the person is. Are they commenting on other people's posts? Are they posting? Generally, people who are very active on LinkedIn, they're reading their DMs, and either they're going to respond or they're not. And that's all you can do. And there's no reason for you to internalize or even try to receive why they haven't. It's been a pleasure, and we'll be back next week. Bye.